Brainy, re-record all surface thoughts and sensations until told otherwise.
Recording.
It was eerily silent, as if some deity knew what Rowan did.
I killed someone. Granted that someone was an alien who's been nerve-stapled to the point of non-sapience and it was all a horrible accident. But that still doesn't excuse the fact that I killed the poor thing. They didn't even wash the blood from me. Okay, focus on something else, other than what I did. Leopec's blood is yellow. The blood probably contains high concentrations of hemovanabin, which makes its blood vanadium-based, unlike our iron-based blood. But hemovanabin isn't an oxygen carrier. How do the Leopecs breathe oxygen? Maybe hemovanabin is toxic in those high amounts. Maybe it's used to make them less appetizing to whatever wants to make a meal out of them. That still doesn't answer the oxygen issue. Maybe they have some hemoglobin or hemocyanin to carry oxygen. Or what if it's a different base entirely like cobalt or iridium? Granted, those two aren't found in nature as far as we know. But it makes the most sense. They're both oxygen carriers. But iridium is incredibly photosensitive. It's probably cobalt. Maybe? I guess I won't know without proper equipment. Man, I hope the Leopecs never hear that footage. It could permanently damage our relations. Or it could improve them, I don't know. Who knows how these aliens tick?
Teloi stomps could be heard approaching.
At least I know how these Teloi assholes tick. Knowledge is power. So get as much of it as possible no matter what.
Human, you are coming with us to perform a test.
Great. More tests.
Do not be concerned. We have gotten more than enough knowledge of your anatomy. Now, we are collecting knowledge on your behaviors.
What are they gonna do? Show images and see how I react? No, that's too humane of them. Maybe they're gonna send Leopecs, Vulpins, and Diglings at me to see what I do. Still too humane. Maybe they'll staple my nerves and leave nothing except my instincts and go from there. Well, only one way to find out.
Ow.
Sensation detected. Pain from unnecessary large gauge needle rating of 5 out of 10 on the Wong-Baker pain scale. Unknown liquid injected. Odds of attempted sedation 80%. Odds of attempted poisoning 20%.
Whoa, I don't feel too good.
There. This new formula should last much longer. It uses your advanced nanotech and will keep you from using that aberrant strength of yours.
No, it won't. Adrenaline and nanomachines don't mix. Everyone knows the...
Cease your inane yapping, slave.
Slave? Why I oughta...
Handcuffs can be heard clicking.
Sensation detected. Pain from tight handcuffs rating a 1 out of 10 on the Wong-Baker pain scale.
Still too tight.
Come. We have tests to perform.
Rowan's quiet steps join the loud stomps of the Telois for a few minutes before a door slides open and closed.
What fresh hell awaits me this time? Table and restraints, eh? How is this gonna test my behavior? Considering all the things we humans can do with a table and restraints, I almost don't want to know.
The sound of the handcuffs being undone, along with Rowan being forced onto the metal table and restraints clicking into place, could be heard.
These are made from the metals we found on your vessel. You will never break them no matter how much you struggle.
Brainy, scan the composition of these cuffs.
Request accepted. Sending out nanomachines. Scanning. Scan complete. Restraints are comprised of an alloy of carbon and iron with traces of phosphorus, silicon, sulfur, and oxygen, commonly known as steel. Request complete.
Great. No way I'm getting out of these barring hysterical strength. Why would they toughen the restraints up, though? Reverse engineering our metalwork could not have been easy for these guys. Or cheap. What are they gonna...
This is Rocopa 300 beginning behavioral tests. The current behavior being tested is human bonds.
Human bonds? What do they mean by...
The door slides open and closed as the unmistakable steps of a human could be heard.
Rowan?
Mom?
The subject recognizes the egg receiver. Genetic tests reveal the subject to have a direct bloodline to the egg receiver. This makes the two either cave mates or the egg receiver gave birth to the subject. The second theory is much more likely with the difference in age.
Rowan, you're alive. Why did they bring you here?
The two are communicating quite animately. The subject is clearly glad to see the egg receiver alive as well as the reverse. This shows mutual love between egg receiver and spawn similar to the Vulpin subjects.
I don't know, Ro. All they said was it was some kind of behavior test.
Where's Dad and Lucy?
Rowan's mother could be heard restraining the urge to sob.
The egg receiver is showing distress after the subject communicated in a tone that sounds questioning. Likely theory is the whereabouts of the egg bearer and second spawn, who both perished in our anatomy tests. The egg receiver's reaction shows love towards the egg bearer and even the second spawn, as well as grief at their deaths. The similarities to the Vulpin subjects are quite striking.
They took them and never brought them back.
No.
Rowan could be heard trying and failing not to cry.
The subject is in a similar state of distress after the egg receiver answered. This shows the spawn's affection towards its cave mate, as well as a love of egg bearer and receiver alike. It is unknown if the egg bearers show affection towards their spawn as the egg receivers and spawns do. Further tests are needed.
They're dead. No. It can't be. Please, dear God. No, this can't be happening. Please, let this all just be some sick nightmare. Please.
I shall move on with the tests. The affection between the subject and the egg receiver is clear. Now, to see the reaction of the subject if the egg receiver were grievously injured.
What? No.
Rowan could be heard pulling at the restraints.
Not my mom. Please. Anyone but her. She's all I have left. Please, I'll do anything.
The subject is showing clear distress at the very mention of the egg receiver being injured. The subject's tone is loud and almost pleading. This shows a strong bond between egg receiver and spawns if the subject is willing to do anything to ensure the safety of the egg receiver. But Tealois are not to show mercy to chattel, and I do not intend on breaking that law.
Chattel? You son of a bitch. She's my mother.
Normally I'd tell you to watch your language, but even I think this alien's an asshole. We're not chattel, and that's my daughter you're torturing. If I weren't on this table, I'd smack the smirk off your spider-faced mug, dice up your tentacles, and fry up some calamari.
Don't forget the cocktail sauce.
No, Ro. I think some marinara sauce would pair better with this slime.
Yeah, cocktail's too good for that walking pile of junk.
The subject and egg receiver are speaking in threatening tones in my direction. Most likely the usual threats to my life and the lives of the crew. It matters not, but it certainly shows the inherent violence in humans regardless of age. The sooner we do away with this cosmic mistake, the better.
Cosmic mistake? The only cosmic mistake I see is you. What kind of race hurts other races' mothers to satisfy some sick curiosity?
I'm shocked that these other aliens haven't done away with you. It's aliens like you that give the nice ones a bad name. How you made it this far with your mindset is a mystery for the ages.
You tell him, Mom.
I have a mind to tell your mother or father or whatever is responsible for your existence how you're treating others.
And now you ruined it.
You will learn to treat other people with respect, even if it...
Rowan's mom gasps as the sound of flesh being pierced was heard.
Mom!
A row.
It seems I missed the vocal cords of the egg receiver and struck a vein.
Rowan could be heard pulling the restraints with renewed vigor.
Sensation detected. Pain from pulling on restraints, rating a 2 out of 10 on the Wong-Baker pain scale. Surface injuries detected. Bruising of the wrists.
Stop the bleeding. Please, stop it. She'll die.
Rowan's mom could be heard choking, unable to get any words out.
Let us see how the subject will react to further disfigurement. This is also a good opportunity to see how well they recognize and recall others of their kind.
No.
The sound of flesh being slashed, pulled, and ripped could be heard.
Pull an ocular orb out here. Tear a few facial openings there. Even I would no longer recognize this hunk of flesh as human.
Stop it.
Rowan could be heard practically yanking on the restraints.
Sensation detected. Pain from pulling on restraints, rating a 3 out of 10 on the Wong-Baker pain scale. Surface injuries detected. Mild tearing of the wrists.
The egg receiver's pulse is weakening but still there. These humans are amazingly hardy. She has lost enough life fluids to kill a Vulpin subject several times over and is still alive. The subject still seems to recognize the egg receiver despite the lack of facial features. How interesting. Maybe humans recognize each other based on body shape.
No, leave her alone, please.
Loud squishes and rips could be heard along with Rowan's mother wheezing.
The front limbs have been removed along with the flesh and fat that gave the human its shape.
Stop it, please, stop.
The restraints could be heard rattling from Rowan's increasingly desperate attempts to get free.
Sensation detected. Pain from pulling on restraints, rating a 4 out of 10 on the Wong-Baker pain scale. Surface injuries detected. Wrists torn to point of mild bleeding.
The subject still shows recognition and is attempting to free herself to the point of injury. Perhaps the removal of the head will break up the shape enough for the subject to lose interest.
No, stop. Don't do it. Don't.
A rip could be heard and Rowan's mom stopped wheezing.
The subject seems to have lost interest. Wait. The subject appears to be shaking.
Warning. An emotional breakdown is imminent. Warning. The sufferer is not responsible for any collateral damage that may occur. Nanomachines failing. Safeguards failing. Contingencies have failed. Quickly and calmly move to an area outside of the sufferer's range of hearing and sight.
Strange. My sensors tell me that the nanites are failing to keep her aberrant strength in check. They seem to be shorting out due to the combat drug these humans produce. The subject is producing enough of this drug to kill a Leopec subject 10 times over, but the subject is not.
Rowan is heard screaming savagely as the restraints groaned in protest.
Surface and internal injuries detected. Throat irritated from screaming. Wrists are torn to the tendons. Medical attention is recommended.
The restraints are failing, but they were created from the strongest alloy we have ever discovered. It must be the drug.
Rowan continued to scream loud enough to deafen anyone with hearing organs as the restraints groaned loudly.
I must summon security.
Rowan stopped screaming as the restraints snapped along with her wrists.
Surface and internal injuries detected. Throat torn from screaming. Wrists are torn to the tendon. The radius is fractured in both wrists. Medical attention is required immediately.
The subject is loose. Where is that blasted security?
Rowan snarled as the teloi could be heard frantically squealing and beeping.
I shall revoke the rations of every last.
Flesh being rent and metal groaning could be heard as the teloi squealed in agony.
Die.
The sounds of flesh and metal being pulled apart increased in volume and intensity long after the teloi stopped squealing.
Surface and internal injuries detected. Skin on knuckles torn to the tendon. Metatarsals fractured in 8 areas. Talus and tibia in the left ankle are fractured. Medical attention is required immediately.
The doors slid open and closed along with the sound of claws clicking and stomps.
Surrender or die, human.
Rowan growled inhumanly.
Die.
Rowan's stalking steps could be heard.
Destroy the subject.
Lasers firing and striking multiple surfaces could be heard along with Rowan's annoyed snarls.
Surface injuries detected. Mild-grade burns from alien weaponry. Medical attention is not required in this case.
It's not scorching it.
Rowan roars along with the sound of flesh and metal alike being torn apart.
Nothing kills it.
The sound of claws and punches landing could be heard along with the death cries of Leopex.
Surface injuries detected. Numerous scratches from large claws. Medical attention is recommended in this case.
It's killing everyone.
Rowan roars angrily as the sound of flesh being punctured and rent is heard.
Surface injuries detected. Bite wound on the shoulder with a large chunk of flesh removed. Medical attention is required immediately.
The sound of bones breaking and wet squishes could be heard.
Casualties are over 40%. 80% of security lost. Evacuate all personnel.
A large laser could be heard firing along with a metallic bang and Rowan grunting.
Sensation detected. Flew 12 feet into a metallic wall. No pain detected. Surface and internal injuries detected. Third-degree burns over 20% of body. Medical attention is required immediately.
The subject is still not dead?
Rowan could be heard screaming like a banshee and sprinting at impossible speeds. The Tealoi who fired the large laser could be heard squealing loudly over flesh and metal being torn asunder.
Everyone, to the decontamination rooms now. We must get to the escape pods before that. That monster from the void itself kills us all. Use the slaves to slow it down. We must escape.
The sound of rapid stomps along with doors sliding open and closed could be heard. Rowan snarled angrily as flesh was rent and bones were turned into powder along with the sound of multiple beings trying and failing to Zerg rush her.
Surface and internal injuries detected. Numerous scratches across 40% of the body and 3 broken ribs.
A solid kick could be heard along with a metallic bang and Rowan grunting. Rowan screamed angrily, but was wheezing afterward.
Sensation detected. Flew 10 feet into a metallic wall. No pain detected. Critical injury detected. Broken rib has pierced right lung. Medical attention is required immediately.
It is injured. They might just be able to kill it.
Metal screams as something was ripped from its bearings. The metal scrapes the ground before Rowan bellows with effort. The death cries of many beings could be heard. Surface and internal injuries detected. Minor tears on hands and moderate muscular tears. Medical attention is required immediately.
Did it just throw the operation table? But it is bolted to the floor. Correction, was bolted to the floor.
The sound of metal being ripped from its bearings could be heard again.
What is it doing with the positronic processing unit?
Said PPU could be heard scraping the ground loudly as Rowan let out a shrill scream that was equal parts effort and war cry.
D.
It is pushing it right at us.
Unlock the doors. Get us out of here.
It will not open until we are decontaminated.
Well, force it open.
It is solid ceremometal. The only being that could possibly force it is pushing an entire processing unit at us.
The remaining Tealoi scientists could be heard squealing before the cacophony of metal being sheared apart, glass shattering, and Rowan's roars of victory overpowered their cries.
Surface and internal injuries detected. Deep cuts on hands and major muscular tears. Medical attention is required immediately.
Multiple lasers could be heard firing, which made Rowan snarl in aggravation.
It just killed the entire science team. We must evacuate.
Metal screams along with Rowan yelling from the effort. The death cries of multiple beings along with loud smashing could be heard.
No, it needs to die. No one must know of the existence of these.
The sound of flesh being pierced, fluids draining, and machinery whirring down could be heard.
It just killed Topo-Phi 800. Send out a message to all science vessels. Destroy all Hue.
A loud crash along with a Tealoi death cry could be heard.
Surface and internal injuries detected. Major bruising over 30% of the body and severe muscular tears. Medical attention is required immediately.
Rowan could be heard sprinting on the metallic floor, only stopping just before various death cries and devices being smashed were heard.
It destroyed labs 2 through 6 and smashed the holding cells. It is approaching the bridge. Lock everything down. Now.
A screeching alarm could be heard as doors were sliding closed.
Thank the stars. It is contained. Now, send the order to destroy. Wait, what is it doing?
Loud booms could be heard along with metal groaning with every boom.
It seems to be striking the void doors?
The booms got increasingly louder and more rapid until a boom was punctuated by a shriek. The metal squealed as if in pain. Rowan roars with effort as the metal shears apart.
Surface and internal injuries detected. Tendons are failing, knuckles are cracked, and there is no skin covering the knuckles. Medical attention is required immediately.
Impossible. Those doors are designed to resist the void itself.
Rowan sprints down the metallic halls, pounds in the doors, shears the metal away, sprints some more, and stops to make more cacophonies punctuated by death cries. This process repeats itself several times.
Surface and internal injuries detected. Left leg is completely broken. Surface injuries on over 60% of the body, and internal bleeding from the punctured lung is putting pressure on the remaining lung. Medical attention is required immediately.
Hokota 600, sir. Everyone has been killed except the human subjects and those on the bridge.
Rowan growled at the pulse and can be heard sprinting rapidly towards it.
The human subject is approaching the bridge.
How soon will it get here?
Approximately.
Metallic booms could be heard along with Rowan's inhuman growls.
Now.
The booms got louder and more rapid as Rowan's growls grew into savage snarls.
Hokota 600, sir. What are your orders?
The metal could be heard groaning with every boom.
Sir, what are your orders?
The booms finally caused the metal to squeal and tear like aluminum.
Sir, your orders?
The metal is sheared apart as Rowan roars with effort loud enough to deafen anything with hearing organs.
Gentle beings.
Rowan snarls with effort as a piece of metal broke off. Her eerily quiet steps could be heard slowly approaching as she growls low in her throat.
Surface injuries detected. Sliced 3 fingers on metal. Danger of tetanus infection over 50%. Administering tetanus booster. Booster successfully administered.
Sir?
The low growls turned into harsh snarls as her steps quickened into a sprint.
It has been an honor serving with you.
Die.
Metal-piercing flesh could be heard numerous times along with the T-alloy's loud squeals. Metal and flesh alike are torn asunder long after the squeals ceased.
Assister, activate psionic recording.
The sound of laser fire along with annoyed growls could be heard.
Activating.
More T-alloys can be heard squealing over their flesh and metal being torn apart.
This is Commanding Unit Hokota 600 recording for what may be the last time.
Loud roars could be heard as metal is torn off the walls. Rowan snarls as the same metal slices flesh. Something fairly heavy hits the ground and rolls out of Rowan's hearing range. Liquids could be heard draining as the machines keeping the headless T-alloy alive whirred down.
We wanted to create the supreme weapon against the Vulpan threat.
Something could be heard being torn from its bearings along with Rowan's wheezing cries of effort. Rowan groans with effort before loud smashes and the death cries of T-alloys were heard.
And we succeeded.
The recording T-alloy squealed as a loud squish was heard.
It struck through my body, my life pump. This is Commander Ko-Ta 600.
A disturbing rip was heard along with a heavy thud onto the metallic floor. Rowan roars with victory that quickly ends with a wheeze.
Warning. Adrenaline levels dropping. Injury severity is too high to maintain consciousness. Chance of survival without proper treatment, 8%. Medical attention is required within an hour, or death is imminent.
Can't breathe.
The sound of a device being smashed was heard along with a body thudding onto the metallic floor.
Recording stopped due to lack of consciousness. Recording saved to neural journal. Activating all emergency beacon nanomachines. Recording message. Severely injured female civilian in this location that requires medical evacuation ASAP. Name, Rowan Mary Jackson. Age, 14. Gender, female. Eyes, blue. Hair, red. Race, natural Caucasian. Weight, 130 pounds. Height, 5 foot 0 inches. Blood type, AB+. Class, non-driver. Origin, the Milky Way. Alpha Quadrant. Orion Spur, Sector 005. Area 51. Sol System. Earth. The Americas. Salt Lake City, Utah. No known living relatives. End recording. Sending message and UPS image of location across all frequencies. Message and image sent. Emergency beacon nanomachines deployed. Odds of discovery before death, 30%.